Imagine a story so dangerous that it helped get the person who told it killed. We're not talking about a simple moral lesson, but a deliberately shocking story of successful murder. Most people know this as the parable of the Wicked Tenants from the Bible, but there is a version found in the Lost Gospel of Thomas that might be even closer to what was actually said. In this video, we are going to break down this parable in detail, exploring the bloody history of first-century Palestine, the social war between peasants and landlords, and the hidden meaning behind the, quote, stone that the builders rejected. The Gospel of Thomas presents this story without the religious fluff, often found in other versions. It tells of a good man who owned a vineyard and leased it to tenants so they could work it and he could receive the fruit. When he sent a servant to collect his share, the tenants seized, beat, and almost killed him. The master, thinking there was a misunderstanding, sent a second servant, who was also beaten. Finally, he sent his own son, believing they would respect his heir. But the tenants recognized him as the heir to the vineyard, so they seized him and killed him instead. The story ends with a chilling warning. He who has ears, let him hear. Historical context: the Agrarian War. To understand why the tenants would be so violent, you have to understand the world of first-century Palestine. This was an advanced agrarian society where 2% of the population, the elite, controlled nearly 65% of the wealth. These absentee landlords were often hated by the land-poor peasants of Galilee who had been forced off their own land due to exploitative debt and taxes. In this social context, the tenants might not have been evil in the eyes of the original audience, but rather brave peasants trying to reclaim land they felt was stolen from them. If an owner died without an heir, the first people to occupy the land often had a legal right to it, which explains why they targeted the son specifically to, quote, seize the inheritance. Thomas versus the Synoptics. Simple story or divine allegory? Scholars note a massive difference between this version and the ones in Matthew, Mark, and Luke. In the Bible, the story is a clear allegory for salvation history. The vineyard is Israel, the owner is God, the servants are the prophets, and the son is Jesus. The Bible versions add details like a wall, a winepress, and a tower, which are direct allusions to Isaiah chapter 5 verses 1 to 7. However, the Gospel of Thomas version lacks these religious layers, presenting a straightforward secular drama. This leads many experts to believe that Thomas preserves a more primitive or original form of the parable before it was turned into a theological lesson by the early church. The climax. The rejected stone. Immediately following the murder of the son, the text shifts to a famous quote. Show me the stone that the builders rejected. That is the keystone. This refers to Psalm chapter 118, verse 22. In ancient construction, the cornerstone or capstone was the most important piece, used to align the entire building. By linking the murdered heir to this stone, the parable suggests that what humans reject as worthless, God makes pivotal. It is a powerful wordplay in Hebrew, where the word for son, ben, is almost identical to the word for stone, Eben. The religious leaders of the time understood this immediately. They realized Jesus was speaking the parable against them. Conclusion: why it matters today. Whether you see this as a story about social justice for the oppressed or a prophecy of the death of Jesus, the core message is one of stewardship. It challenges the delusion of ownership, reminding us that we are only guests on this earth. The parable warns that those who exploit their positions of power will eventually face an eviction notice from the true owner. If you found this deep dive into the Gospel of Thomas fascinating, hit the like button and subscribe for more explorations into lost scriptures and historical mysteries. What do you think? Were the tenants wicked, or were they desperate? Let us know in the comments below.